Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Push for Love, where positivity and inspiration thrives. I am your host, Sister Kimmerie, and we are thrilled to embark on this journey with you as we explore uplifting stories, share valuable insights, and discover the power of positivity in our lives. Today, our guest speaker is Divina Jackson, a single mother of three children with special needs. So, Davina, please take us on this journey. I am so excited to have you here, and I'm so thankful that you agreed to come because I'm just, I remember when I first met you, you were the first person that I heard ever that had three children in the household with special needs. And I was like, I don't know if you remember how I responded or looked at you. And I was like, what? I was like, I need to go have a seat then because I have one. I have one. And here it is. You have three. Oh my, I never heard that. I didn't even think it existed. Okay. So when you told me that, and I just watched you, and I was like, and she just walking around like just normal, how does she do it? Right. So I guess the first question I have for you is what was it like, when you first found out like your first child had special needs, then your second child had special needs, then your third child. It's like, okay, what was that like? That's layers there. It's like, what was that like? I know how it was when my youngest had when they told me what was going on with him. That's just one time, but you had it three times. What was that like? I want you to go ahead and take us on this journey.
Well, first, let me say thank you for having me. I'm humbled. I do remember when we first met. It was funny because it was like, is she for real, or is she just trying to say this to keep me comfortable? Um, but it
Right.
it, it is true. I do have three different abilities. I
Okay.
always like to say different abilities, not disabilities. Because I think we all have something.
Yeah, we do.
Um, but for me, I think when I think back 30 years ago, because my oldest is 30 now,
Okay.
we weren't talking, we still were having trouble talking about autism. It wasn't in the forefront like it is now. Um, so it was like, what is that? And it took a while. Let me just say, before we even got to the whole autism part, I think the initial shock for me was I went in saying, hey, I'm going to be a mom. I'm doing everything that the doctors tell me to do. I'm eating properly, taking the vitamins, and I'm doing all these things. And the first shocker was he was a preemie.
Okay.
So the first hurdle was getting past this. Wait, I'm supposed to have this big baby.
Yeah.
And here I have this 2 pound, 7 ounce little boy that's basically fighting for his life. So that was the first journey of what did I do? What mistakes did I make? Did I eat something wrong? Did I watch the wrong thing on TV? The old myths. And that
Mm-hmm.
was the first hurdle. Um, John didn't get officially diagnosed with autism until he was about 3.5.
Okay.
Um, And it was because we kind of noticed he did a lot of things very routine. He was not very social. Um, he had some delays. So, we were just like, hey, he's developing a little slower. Um, and he got the diagnosis and they said ADD and it was something else. And then they said, no, that's not it. So it was an emotional roller coaster because it was like, what's wrong with my child? Like, why isn't he making these milestones? Why is he only eating certain foods and, why does everything agitate him? It was that the frustration. And it took a lot. It was very challenging. You learn to be an advocate for your kids, and I'm quite sure you're familiar with that. Like, no, I'm not just going to medicate my kid and you don't know what this is. We're going to find out what it is. And we got the diagnosis. They said he was autistic,
Okay.
but he's very smart. And I said, well, autism, they say he's not supposed to want to be touched, and all these things that they had labeled. And they said, well, autism has a spectrum.
Right.
Um, and I had to read. Be very honest, I had to sit down, cry,
Mm-hmm.
use a few unbiblical words,
Right.
because I wanted to know why me, I did everything okay. And I was angry, and my truth, like, hey, I didn't drink, I didn't do any drugs, I didn't do anything. What happened?
Yeah.
So that was my first challenge. Um, and just with John, we became okay. This is the journey. What does that look like?
Let
Um,
me let me interrupt real quick. That you remind me of myself. I went through the same thing when, because like I have three boys, and Jabril is my youngest. He's the one that has cerebral palsy. He was a preemie. He was 1 pound 2 ounces. Talking
mhm.
about fighting for your life, right? I went through
Yeah.
the same thing. I was like, what did I do? Is it
And I
something that
think
I
as
ate?
moms, yeah.
I was like, I'm working out more. My diet has changed. Am I being punished from something in my past? I went to a counselor and she said, it's not you. Don't take yourself through it. This is normal though, because a lot of parents, this is what we go through this. We check ourselves. What did I do? Is it something I did? My diet is this. You're going through this checklist of stuff, right? So I just wanted to say I went through the same thing. I surely did because I just didn't understand. I had two other children and
Mhm.
I didn't have this issue. So why Jabril, at this time? So yeah, I went through that. I just wanted to add that in there, but go ahead. Yeah.
Absolutely. And as moms, it's a level of guilt that you kind of take on. It's like, you know, now my child has a label. We're doing all these therapies and work looks different because now you don't get to be the typical 9 to 5 mom that people expect you to be. And
Right.
I became the stay-at-home mom, but stay-at-home mom looked different because there was therapies and testing and um trips to neurosurgeons and neurologists to see what autism was. Did something happen with his brain?
Mhm.
All of those things, um, making the house different, not a lot of noise because loud sounds irritate them, although they're the loudest people in the house.
That sound
Excuse
like Jabril. That sound like
me.
him. He doesn't like other people, like the nurses right there in the house. And I get it because I don't kind of like it either, but they're right there in the room and they be on their phone talking
Mhm,
loud. And it bothers him. And I'm like, I have to first of all, they ain't supposed to be on the phone like that. But I have to let them know, look, your talking irritates him.
mhm,
So you're in his space. You have to respect that, because if it was, it doesn't matter. And I don't know if it's a thing like that, but I know it upsets him. So regardless, if you had a child with autism and noise bother them and you're in the room with them, you can't be on your phone because that you're making the noise that irritates them. So you cannot be on the phone, you know? So
and
you have
life
to
looked
respect
that
that.
and that yeah life looked different because he couldn't go to every family function. Life changed for me, and it
Okay.
was like, wow, now I have to find this thing called respite to get someone to assist me. And I don't want to seem like I'm a bad mom because I need a break, because there were moments that I was overwhelmed. It
Yeah.
required a lot, special foods, and the food needed to be a certain way, and things couldn't touch, and clothes had to be certain materials because it would bother him.
Wow.
Um, and it was a journey. The I would say the first 7 years, just finding a good school because he couldn't go to school with everybody else.
Right.
Um, Fighting the educational system to say, hey, my child can't go to school with everybody else, and this is what he needs. And I kind of became um, that mom that I
Right.
never thought I was going to be. I became, that mom.
So what school, what happened as far as schooling? Was he homeschooled or you actually found a school that he could go to? What happened there?
Well, with schooling, we realized by the time he got to second grade, we realized that a public school setting just wasn't working for him. It was too much. It was too much going on, and he needed more structure. He needed things to accommodate the sensory issues and the tactile issues that people with autism have. And it would take us days to talk about that part.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I'm sure.
so I had to become a reader. Um, I had to learn about the laws, what my child was entitled to. And I began to fight and say, hey, it's a thing called an IEP.
Hmm.
I was new.
Right.
Um, my child has enough issues that, hey, you guys can put this thing called an IEP in place. And while you're putting that in place, also this thing called non-public services where my child does not have to go to a public school and you guys get to pay for it, not me.
Okay.
Um, and it took me about a year and a half of back and forth with the school systems and getting advocates and learning the laws. And we ended up getting him in what was called a non-public placement. And it was like public school, but it offered all the services, speech and language, occupational therapy, physical therapy, um, all of those things. He went to Forbush. He went to a few schools, but
So
uh,
what school is this? Where are you in Baltimore?
I was in Baltimore.
Okay.
We moved to Carroll County.
Okay. So
We
is that
moved
where he
to
went to school?
He went to school in Baltimore for about 4 years. And
Okay.
then when we moved to Carroll County, he finished up his middle school and high school years in Carroll County.
Okay.
He progressed very well. That we did let him merge his senior year between the non-public and the public. We advocated with a program. So he actually graduated from two schools his senior year because he has Asperger's. So
Okay.
he's very intelligent intellectually. He's very high functioning,
Right.
but he has um his limitations, a lot of scheduling.
What is Asperger's? What is that?
So Asperger's is a higher form of autism.
Okay.
Albert Einstein actually had it. They're very intellectually intelligent, but they're very socially withdrawn. They don't have very good social skills. Um, he still needs a lot of reminders. There are things that we would understand daily that they would need assistance with, like, understanding documents and just simple reminders like how to don't forget to prepare your meals, don't forget to shower. He still needs some of those reminders,
Okay.
but he can drive. Um, he's still social skills are still a challenge, but he's very intelligent. And I don't say that just because he's mine, but he's a very intellectually smart young man, just
Mhm.
not social at all. Very
Right.
withdrawn. And some people think it's arrogance, but it's just they don't have that skill. And it's interesting because there are a lot of very famous people that I found had Asperger's.
Okay.
When I got to my second son, again, we hit that brick wall of why am I having yet another preemie?
Right.
So that by this stage, there was, the depression. There was the anxiety of like, I don't know if I can do this again because I think there's something wrong. Um,
Okay.
I'm having, because it's not common. Now I have another preemie. But this time life looks different. He initially, when we when he was born, Justice had a hemorrhage to his brain.
Okay.
Now, as interesting as it is, I was told that he would have cerebral palsy.
Okay.
Um, and at that point, it was like, okay, I don't know what this is about, God. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Right.
It was a tug of war in the marriage, because now it's like I don't get my wife, because we have kids that need everything.
Yeah.
Everything. My undivided. Um,
Right.
and it was very challenging, because it was like I don't have a life.
Yeah.
It was that moment of I want to be a mom, but this wasn't what I thought mom would look like. You
Yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
yet again, taking this roller coaster, but now I have to be more adept, because this child, 1 pound, 10 ounces, requires a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Justice is on the opposite end of the spectrum of John. Um, Justice is nonverbal. He does
Okay.
not. Justice is 27 now. Cognitively, he's between 2 and 5.
Okay.
So I have a 6'2" grown man in the house now that I still have to wake up, dress, bathe,
Mm-hmm.
remind him to wipe his tushy,
Yeah.
and that's going to be life. You know,
Yeah.
he talks to him, he'll talk a little. He uses assistive technology, which is something I had to learn all about. It was.
Now speak on that for a minute, because I know assistive. Am I saying it? Assistant. I'm sorry, assistant
Mhm.
technology. Yeah. What type of technology is he using as far as speaking
Mhm.
to communicate? What kind of system is that?
Ooh. We have gone through many, many systems. His first, his very first system we had was called a PEC system, and it's pictures.
Okay.
Um,
Remember something like that for Jabril. Yeah.
and you could pull the sticky pictures off, and you can tell them different things based on visually they would see a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we started sign language, but I said I could hear him trying to vocal a little.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of one of them options where I had to go through the emotional tug of war, say, do I want him to sign? Do I not want him to sign?
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm going to be a little selfish. I want to kind of force this thing to see if he can talk.
Right. I was the same
Um,
way. Yep. Yeah.
just to see if he could talk, and we went through, a couple devices, some that had the peck pictures, and he could push the word, and you could try to teach him how to make sentences, even if it was 2 words, like help me and different things like that.
Okay.
We went through that for maybe about 3 or 4 years. And
Okay.
then we advanced the system a little bit more. Um, as time grew, we could expand the systems. And so the systems, as he got older, it became more word recognition, because I was very big on, and I still am with my children. Society don't give a darn if you have a disability.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wanted them to get as much normalcy as possible, so I still made sure they read, and I would put words on the bedroom door or labels. We had labels around the house, so they could understand what the refrigerator was. If you heard that word, this is what it is. And
Yeah.
we started trying to find technology that did the same thing.
Okay.
Um, Now he has his regular tablet, he has his computer, but we programmed them to talk, and I've helped him enough that Sometimes he can write me a note or show me pictures to get me to help him formulate his sentences.
Good for you.
But it's
Good
work.
for you.
Yeah, it was work.
Yeah.
It took a lot. It was
Right.
days that I was going to quit. It was days I hid in the bathroom and cried
Yeah.
because the thoughts now were, I've done all this and I've built all of this with these boys. What happens if I'm not here?
I know that's something that we never want to think about, you know. We don't want to think about it. I think about it as well, and I'm like, well, you know what? I just pray that God blesses me to be around for a very long time and I will be at peace, whenever the time come. I have done enough or, set things to where I could see that if it's me or him or whatever, whichever one, God takes first, that I would be at peace with it regardless, yeah. And so I try not to think about it too much right now but it creeps up there because it's a reality, it's life, right? And so I'm like, I'm too busy trying to live and trying to make things happen, for me to think about that right now all the time. It's like I don't want it to be, on my mind so much to where I miss out on the present and enjoy my time. And then just having the faith that God is going to set things up. He's going to put things in the proper place, and I just have to, that's just where I'm at with it and not to worry. I enjoy my time with Jabril. I'm still focused on getting him and getting him to a certain place or just letting him, to where he can just enjoy his life, whatever that is. Right. And
Right, whatever
that's
that.
whatever that is, and when he's happy, I'm happy, and he's not that sociable either. He doesn't like to go out too much. I'm like, you got boy, it's hot out here. You in for the most part wintertime. The sun is out, you getting outside. Talking about for what? I say
Right,
well, he's so used to being in the house. I was like, no, because you need some air, you need some sun, and so and then when we go out, I was like, now wasn't that nice? He said, yeah. I was like, okay, so I know when to kind of be like, look, I'm not listening to you today. You
uh-huh.
getting out, or you getting in your chair. I try to let him also have, because he's 29. So it's like, okay, I don't want to treat you. You have a mind. So what do you want to do? I want him to tell me, well, yeah, I want to. No, I don't want to. I want to eat this. No, I don't want to eat that. I let him be his own person and make his own decisions as much as he can, right? So I understand all of that, but I just have to have the faith, and that's just where I keep it right there. And in his own proper time, it's going to all work out.
Absolutely it does. And I think that when and piggybacking off what you said, taking those moments of having faith, it allowed me to, you know, put more time in the church and start doing more things in the community. And what I realized, um, I had found out it was so many parents that didn't know about services. Here I'm self-teaching. They didn't know about services. They had kids that had never gone to school, or they had their kids, in programs in schools, and the kids were being abused because teachers didn't know how to handle them. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I
Right.
figured out how to navigate this thing, this IEP, and not these 504s. And it was like, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. Um, while I'm working through my own stuff, let me
Hmm.
help the families that I can, whatever nuggets that I could drop. And I never knew it was going to start to grow. It's still growing. But it was something that I enjoyed doing,
Yeah.
and it gave me a peace of mind. It helped
Yeah.
me
Good.
say, hey, you know what? This isn't the challenge that I think it is. Um,
See, God
and
has a plan. We just didn't know, you know what I'm saying? And I know
we
it looked
never knew.
rough. And they always say, well, he doesn't give us anything we can't handle, right? I know, you've heard this.
I
And
heard this.
sometimes you be like, for real?
Now, when my
Seriously?
child was taking his clothes off and running out the house, and we were chasing him down the street, now I didn't think God, you
Ah,
know, because we don't always want to share the crazy side, because there are some sides, where you go to the bathroom and you come back and you have a child that's an eloper, and it's like these doors and windows was locked. Where's my child? And you're running through a neighborhood and you're saying, please don't let them think that I'm neglectful. Um, because I gotta find my kid, and you gotta be that's the moment when you gotta be transparent with your community, like, hey, this
but
is what I got going on.
remember, I was talking to you and you said I never thought about it, but I talked to a young lady. Her name is Robin Lee. She's in Frederick, Maryland. She said when she moved down there, she took her child to the police department and told them to take pictures of her child, and her neighbors know who her child is and what his situation is, right? So that if they see him, they know if they see him, period, by himself or acting out or some kind of way, they know his situation. It's not just this big black man, young, because they grown, acting out something looking weird, and then they thinking it's someone's that's I don't know. They just
Mhm.
taken it totally wrong. So that's what she said she did. She was like, because I want them to know who he is, where he lived. So if anything, if he out by himself, he get lost or whatever, they know what they look for. But she said she took her child to the police department down there, and they'll know who he is, took pictures of him and stuff like that. So they'll know, and I thought that was a wonderful idea, honestly, you
I
know.
think it's a wonderful idea, and I think, but I also think that we have to get to a point to where our first responders and our law enforcement know how to properly identify
Right.
um,
I,
our community and
that's right.
how to handle our community, because for me, it still angers me. I still don't feel like our children should be dying because a parent may not have the physical capacity to handle a breakdown, because they do have breakdowns. Sometimes
Yeah.
the breakdown is because I can't communicate, or sometimes it's too many things going on sensory and I can't handle it.
Right.
And the bigger they are, sometimes it can be more challenging, um, physically and emotionally. And if you have to call for help and my child is just having a meltdown, my child shouldn't be shot and killed because
Exactly.
he had a meltdown. And I think we can take the pictures, and I think what she's doing is amazing. We can take the pictures and I can wear the hats and the shirts and I can put labels on him. But we've got to train them to know, okay, this is different. This is just not someone disobeying me, or not we, even if they are our deaf community, we've got to, it's got to be something different, and that's something I
Agree.
think,
Yeah.
and I pray for and try to work at ways to make that come to pass. um and even now with my daughter, because like you said, we have three, I have three, and January is totally different. She has post-traumatic stress, and some, it's just PTSD, and she has high anxiety. But
Right.
if too much going on for her emotionally, she'll shut down, she'll freeze. Um, and that's interesting around the house because everybody is sensitive to something. Um,
Yeah.
so my days are different.
Right.
So, in the kitchen, everybody eats something different because somebody can't tolerate this and somebody can tolerate that. So,
Right.
I never get to fix the,
One
the
meal.
typical family meal because everybody eats something different. So that's the first thing, understanding that when you come in our home, and this person can't stand loud music and this person doesn't like strong smell. So, having a having a home that's comfortable for all of them to function and me and still being able to have a balance with life, it takes a lot of work,
Right.
a lot of structure, it takes a lot of patience. There are days
That's
when
my other thing. I was like, how do you cope? What did you find how to cope in the middle of all of this? What was, when you got to that point, you're like, okay, I'm going to have to do this for me, so that you can have some balance, and really so that you can cope and have your mental is okay, your emotion is okay. What did you do or what are you doing?
I think the first thing I had to do was I had to sit with myself one day, and realize you weren't a bad person. God didn't punish you because that's all the thoughts you have, right? He
Right.
didn't punish you for all the mistakes that you made. It's okay, you know. Screw what people think when they see you holding your son's hand and he's having his moment. You know, just forgiving myself first, right? Um, and then being okay with saying, "Hey, I need a pastor, a mentor, and a therapist every 2 weeks."
Yeah.
And being okay with that because in the Black community, it's a stigma. You go to therapy, honey. I go to
Yes.
therapy to keep myself sane because getting
Right.
my nails done or sitting lighting a candle, sometimes that's not enough, and being okay with saying that sometimes it's not enough. Um, but I still allow myself to have moments, hey guys, I'm going to listen to a book or I just want to go for a walk, trying to fit those things in and teaching the kids to function as a team. Um, it's hard sometimes, but teaching them that, hey, you guys have to build a bond strong enough to count on each other because when I'm not here, all you guys have is each other, despite whatever the issues are.
Hmm.
Um, so teaching them how to effectively work as a team and being okay with taking some time for myself because sometimes I have to have a breather because it is days when I will say, I quit. I don't want to do this mommy thing. And I think a lot of us don't want to say that we feel that way. Sometimes I don't want to be the mother. Sometimes I just want to wake up and do nothing. But life wasn't planned that way. Or, I don't want to answer that email to say, hey, do you know of this resource? No, I won't watch TV. Um, and being
You said
honest, no,
no.
no, I want to write my books. I don't want to stop. I
That's
just gave
right.
you bread 3 minutes ago. Why are you asking me for something else?
You're right.
And being okay with saying, okay, it's okay first to feel that way, right? But
Yes.
then what do you do with it? How do you turn that into not a negative moment or okay, I am going to cry today.
Hmm.
Okay. I didn't cry for 60 seconds. Let me wipe my face now and let's get back in the game.
That's
You
a that's cleansing, and it's okay. I mean, and
okay.
we have to talk about it. We have to be all right to say that and talk about it. It's like you're human. God gave us tear ducts for what? To cry.
The
You
cry.
know, those are emotions. That's normal and it's okay. It's nothing wrong with having a moment, especially when you under a certain type of a situation like we are under. When we are single parents or just parents, period, dealing with children and life and society, all of that. But then when you have a single parent, and I'm just going to say it this way, a single parent, gosh, I mean, I have one child with special needs, you know, and here it is, you're a single parent with three children. I mean, you just need girl, a crown, you need a trophy, you need some stars. I mean, what you need all of that. I'm just saying, oh goodness. And because I know what I go through, and it's not for me, it's not even Jabril. I'm so grateful and so blessed and thankful right now, that he's doing well. And it's not him that's actually stressing me out, or what's stressing me out is the people that come to help.
Mm-hmm.
It's them, and that's a whole nother story, but it's them that really stress me out because of their mindset. And, like I said, that's a whole nother talk show. Okay. A
Yeah,
whole nother,
it is. It is,
it
you
really
know,
is.
and yeah, it really is. And I think for me, that was one of the things too that was challenging, finding someone that I trusted and dealing with those personalities. And it made me, I'm gonna figure out how to do this myself
Yeah.
and still have a life, because what we don't like to talk about sometimes too is, yes, we single parents, we still want to date, we still need time to ourselves, and what does that even look like, and I had to work through that part. Like, is anybody going to want to date me? I don't just have I'm not just a single mom with a kid with 3 kids. I got 3 different things going on. I had to go through that hurdle. I'm
Yep.
saying, I do still want to date. I would like to get married again one day, but what does that even look like? When do I have time? And how do you tell them, look, I know we want to go out to dinner, but I gotta give my son a shower. you know, I gotta give him a shower before we can go out. Because when the boys were a little younger, I didn't date.
Yeah.
And I did feel very isolated because they required so much. It
Mhm.
was I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Now it's a little different. They're older. I do date, but I'm very transparent. Hey, this is what dating looks like for me, and this is why. Um, but within the last year, my life did take a turn because not only did my kids have, disabilities, learning that I have PTSD myself from my marriage. So
Okay.
now you got a house full of labels.
You said house of labels.
A
Okay.
house full of
For the
labels.
audience, you said PTSD.
Yep, post-traumatic stress. And a lot of people think that only veterans have it. There are a lot of us walking around in society now that we have witnessed, we have lived through, we've had so many traumas
What
in
are
our
the signs
community.
then? What are the signs for that? For them to say that this is what you have, what are some of the signs
Some
or
of my
behavior?
signs:
Okay.
being anxious. Um, Sometimes my anxiety would get me so anxious, it would be days where I felt headaches or I felt just sick, really sick to my stomach, and I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, why am I so anxious? I'm the fighter, I'm the go-getter. Like, what is wrong? Um, or having moments where I'm just so anxious that it puts me into a depression.
Okay.
Uh, it was days I didn't want to comb my hair. It was days that I was walking around like, I don't want to talk on the phone. I don't want to see anybody. And I'm like, I know I'm an introvert, but this is different.
Yeah.
Um, it was, do I even want to get out of bed today?
Hmm.
And I had to really start to look at that like, wait, you go 24/7 and you've always been the person that helps everybody else and you do everything, but why are you sad? Why are you overly anxious about everything? Um, and that's how I had to start asking my therapist, is there something else going on with me that I'm missing? You know, um, and realizing, hey, I had been going through trauma since I was 8 years old, but
Okay.
I had internalized it.
Okay.
For me, it was like, oh, it happened, like most of us do.
Yeah.
Um, I worked in the jail for 5 years of my life, so I saw a lot.
Hmm.
Um, but I just internalized it. I didn't have time to process all of that because I had kids that needed me.
Right.
And we go around a lot of times and we don't think about some of the things that we may have encountered through relationship, through work,
Right.
you know, and it takes a physical and emotional toll on us that we don't know. you get accustomed. Oh, I only sleep 4 hours. Why?
Mm-hmm.
What's the root of that? Yes, you're busy, but what else is the issue? Oh, my head hurts a lot. Why?
Right.
Oh, I'm not losing the weight the way I want to. Why?
Right.
We don't take those moments to look at ourselves. We get into the rigmarole of every day that we miss sometimes that we're going through some things that we shouldn't be.
Right.
And I for 30 years, I'm going through the cycle. Get up, go to work, parent, go to school, get your degree, build a business, do this, do that, da. And the whole time it was just like push your trauma, push your trauma, push your trauma, push your trauma. And then one day I sat down to write the book and my all my trauma just smacked me in my face. Um,
So you have a book.
I have a few books, but yes, I have a book. It's called God Said Fight Dirty. And
Okay.
I gave some little snippets about some of my different things that I encountered in life. Um,
So you have it on Amazon where people could probably order or purchase.
yes, it is on Amazon. I
Okay.
did not make it an Audible, but God Said Fight Dirty. It's on Amazon. And
Okay.
you download it or do
Congratulations on that. Yeah.
I'm working on another project. Because that's my piece. I do love to write, and I feel like it gives you a chance to be your most vulnerable self.
Yeah.
Because people need your vulnerability. Um, and I had to realize that just paying attention to my kids, because I tell people all the time, they my heroes. Um, every moment that I think about, oh, I want to quit. Well, I don't, am I messing up? I just look at them.
That's right.
I look at them and I'm like, they're my heroes. They fought to get here. They fought to stay here. And life for them every day is a fight. It's a different type of fight, but it's a
Yeah.
fight. Um, so it's really important to me, and it's really important that other families understand, like, you're not by yourself.
No.
Um, and your kids deserve the best life that they could possibly have, no matter how we have to adapt it. But
Right.
they get it. People look at me crazy. My son gave the graduation speech through his device.
Oh,
I made sure both of my boys still came out of high school. Took them a little longer, but they came out of high school with a
right.
4.0.
Okay.
Um, Justice has trophies. He knows how to ride and jump horses. He was on the swim team. He did the Special Olympics. I never wanted them, and I still don't. I don't want any limits put on them because they're different.
Yeah.
I don't want limits put on me because some days I say I need a break. I have a label and I'm okay.
And you're right. And it shouldn't be that way. And I think, we all to some degree, some more than others. We, like you said earlier, we all have something. I have, what they would call dyslexia, and I didn't even know. I didn't know that because what I was hearing about dyslexia, no one diagnosed me. I didn't go to the doctors and say, for the doctors to tell me this. I just hearing it more because I knew when I was younger, I was like, I don't know what this thing is. It's like I just felt like, why is it so challenging for me to learn certain things, and so back then, you didn't hear dyslexia or bipolar and stuff like that. You didn't hear about that kind of stuff. If you didn't know something, you would just call stupid or, you just can't learn. You're just stupid. That was really the main word. You're just stupid. And so, of course, you hear something like that, but yet you're looking like, why do I get so frustrated? Or why is it that I'm not catching on to this stuff? Or, from spelling to reading to math. I mean, all of these things, writing, if had to write too long, I would get anxious or just frustrated. I was like, I need to stand up. I can't sit here too long, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't know what that was, right? My mother and them didn't know what that was when I remember when the teacher said to my mom, Mr. Davis, I'll never forget him. He said, "Well, I don't want to keep her back." And my mother was like, "Well, yeah, it's all right if you do." And I'm like, "Mom, what are you talking about? Keep me back." If she had
Right.
did that, it would have made it worse for me, you know. He said, "No, I don't want to keep her back. She's such a beautiful young lady, and I don't want to, she's such a nice young lady. I remember this, standing there listening to the conversation, and I'm so thankful that he said that and just to keep me going, you know, but it was tough. School was really rough for me. I didn't like school because of that reason. And I think what happens is that I realized I just learned different. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what goes on a lot in because they have this certain way. If you got to learn this way of how the teacher is teaching it. Everybody don't learn that way though. You know, I don't learn. I'm more of a visual person or hands-on person. I need to see the process, you
Mm-hmm.
know, show me that process, you know, break it down. And even till the day, that's I learned best. It's like you can, if you want to show me how to do something, if you want to teach me how to do something, I need to see you step by step. My mind takes it, it records it, and I see it in my head. Boom,
Mm-hmm.
I got it. You know, once I got it, I got it. But if you just up there, that's why I never went to college because college was too big for me. If you're going to be in a college, this big old room, I don't learn within a large setting. It has to be more of a smaller setting for me because so I can have more of that one-on-one or just more time to be able to process some things and answer, ask some questions where you kind of have more of a one-on-one. I'm not that. So dyslexia, what I used to hear about dyslexia, it was more like how people would see numbers backwards and stuff like that. That was that typical dyslexia. I was like, well, no, that's not me because I don't experience, I hadn't experienced that. But then I learned later that it is dyslexia. It's how you actually, you know, you may not catch it the way you process it. You don't actually see it the way someone may explain it to you. You may it's just not it just don't process. I was like math, you know, it was
Yeah.
like algebra was like a Rubik's cube to me. I'm like, how in the world a letter and a number? I take that letter and that number thing. I thought it was supposed to be numbers and numbers. What the letter got to do with it? I don't know how to multiply a number. I mean, you know, I don't know how to add that number. I mean that letter. You know, it just I couldn't get that. I understand it now. I mean, I don't know algebra like that, but I understand what that it represent a number. I
Right.
I didn't understand that then. I could not grasp. It just didn't make sense. Girl, it just didn't make sense to me.
Girl, it still don't make sense to me. I still question how I got out of college. But
So
I said,
I say all that to say is that we all have something, and I'm okay with saying it because
yeah,
a lot of us adults are walking around with autism. Adults today, and I've run into some people, and I was like, I think he on the spectrum.
yeah.
Yep. Don't he doesn't even know or they don't even know it,
They
but
don't know
they on the spectrum.
spectrum. It made me, and I'm so thankful for my children.
Yeah.
It made me, I was always a kid that was very accepting. I was just always taught that. And I thank God to my grandmother for that because she exposed me to so much as a child.
Okay.
Um, so I was always very accepting of people, right? But my kids gave me a different set of eyes, I would say,
Yep.
because I was always accepted to people. Like I always was, I was the kid I wanted to talk to the homeless people because I thought they were just cool people. I did. I didn't understand what homelessness looked like when I
Mhm.
was younger, but I just always thought I was like, oh, they're different. They just kind of do their own thing, right? Until she really had to explain that to me. Um, but I was still always very accepting. But I think what my kids did was they gave me a different set of eyes in the perspective of not only the acceptance, but saying, okay, how do I help people every day? Because I can't, yeah, I'm human. I get mad and I have my issues, but I don't know who's on what spectrum or who's battling with what, right? So I had to start looking at people different. And one thing I will share, and it is in my book too, even becoming homeless myself with these three kids, because I became homeless.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay. Wow.
and here I am with these three kids in a hotel room, and I'm walking around and I'm really looking at people thinking to myself, hmm, okay, I wonder, are some of these people here, are they on the spectrum?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have some different abilities, or why are they like it changed my mindset at my age of how I see the world. Um
Right.
and how I show up. Um I'm not as judgmental. I'm more apt to listen to people's stories. Um I wouldn't say naive, but
Right.
I'm more apt to listen to say, you know, maybe you went through something and that's why you show up the way you show up. And you may have been just going around saying that's just the way I am, but it may not be the way that you really are. You may need some assistance.
Right. Yeah.
Um, because you may have some things going on that you didn't even know you had going on. And I think when we get to that place, I think we can be more loving towards one another.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, when people look at me every day, you're not going to know, hey, she has three kids with disabilities. Hey, she has some things herself. She done went through domestic violence. She's been homeless. She's dealt with abandonment issues while trying to be a good mommy, and her own abandonment issues, and just those things. We expect people to have this, to be in this box and appear this certain way, that we don't give the grace we need because we don't know. And I think parents that have children and adults in their life that have different abilities, we have a capacity to see outside and think outside the box, but we have to give others the tools to think outside the box like we can.
I agree. I agree. And it's, with just such a wide, I mean, it's so many, we can expand and just go on with just with your experience. And then I can add to it as far as my experience. You know, I'm just so thankful. I look at you and I'm like, wow, you just don't know. I just take my hat off to you. I know people say that about me because my journey is my journey with my son. You know, I love him dearly. And you know what though, Davina, I wouldn't trade it in for the world. I
Mm-mm.
really wouldn't. God gave us this for a reason. What I'm just saying, I look at that. I know at the beginning because we just didn't know. But for me, now that I'm in it, here it is close to 30 years later. And I'm like, Push for Love came out of this
Yeah.
because of Jabril, and for I had to do something for the parents. And that's what Push for Love is doing. It's for us to be celebrated so that we as parents with children with, how do you say it?
Different abilities.
Different abilities. Okay. And I know we even struggle with saying that. I just have to say it, because this is what people can relate to, but different abilities, yes. And I love that, by the way.
Thank you.
And we have to pay more attention to us
Yeah.
because it's stressful. And what Push for Love is doing, and by the way, you all, Push for Love is a nonprofit organization that supports parents with special needs or different abilities, parents with children with different abilities, emotionally and financially. And the financial part is because of, I know with my son, he need equipment, and sometimes the insurance may not cover
Mm-hmm.
it. So I have to go out and get it other ways, other resources. And so I kind of want Push for Love to get to the point where if any parent have a child in a situation where they actually need equipment, then I can contribute. Push for Love can contribute to that. Because, when you don't have these different abilities, it's not prejudice. It hits the rich to the poor. So
Mm-hmm.
what about the poor guy and the middle guy? They don't have the money to do that what rich folks can do. They could just pay for stuff. We can't just pay for it like that. And so I want to be able to help those um, in that way. But as far as the parents, we that's what Push for Love is doing, and we have the retreats. And one day, I know you'll come. You haven't come to the
Absolutely.
retreats yet, and we're getting ready to have one in July, the boat ride. So I can't wait for that because sometimes we just need to get away and get around other people, that's just like us. Get
Mhm.
away, just get on the water, have a little fun. If you want to just be quiet and watch because I know I probably won't have a whole lot to say. I just want people to enjoy themselves. I just want to be on the water, listen to the music. It's going to be a DJ there, dance floor, buffet food, just enjoy. Other people like us, we can talk, and smile and just get to know each other, network a little bit as far as this is like a family because we are in the same boat, and hear people's story is different and you can share information. So that's what we're going to be doing in July. And in the past, we had like meditation and then the buffet, breakfast buffet, and then entertainment and things like that, and motivational speakers. Actually, we have that in last one, we had the spoken words. That was fun as well. So all I'm saying is to say we got to put us first. We
Yeah.
did we got the children to a certain point. Now it's time for us to come back. And I ask God, I always listen and say, God, where do you want me to take Push for Love? And everything what comes to my mind is just healing. The world has to heal, number one, and we're
Yeah.
in this world. We have to heal. So I'm doing a lot because stress is going to affects our body in so many ways. I go see a holistic doctor. I go get a lymphatic massage. I
Mm-hmm.
just did a sound therapy session, which was I love, which I'm going to bring her to where I'm going to ask her if we can, if I could bring the group together and do a personal sound therapy for us, right? That's going to be amazing. And just a lot of different type meditation for sure, but a lot of different healing tools, that Push for Love. That's the direction that God want me to go. That's what just keep coming up. And it just makes sense. We have to learn, we have to heal. And we got to love ourselves enough to do these things. I know you're doing some of these things yourself, but when you come together with people that's just like you can sit, it's a bond that takes place. And it kind of makes you just feel like, wow, this girl is cool. Wow, it's something
Mm-hmm.
out when you're together, and so that's where I'm going with this. And so let's see, probably in October, I'm thinking what I want to do. But I will keep you informed and I just hope, sometime soon, that you will come. Please
Definitely.
come to the boat ride. You'll have
I'm
a
gonna come to the I'm gonna come to the boat ride. And you're right. I think we have to remember we have to have community. And it's not just for, our children and our adults. We have to have community for ourselves because if we're not healthy if we're not relaxed, if we're still not enjoying the life that we have, we don't benefit anybody, not just them. We don't benefit
Exactly.
anyone.
That's
So
right.
that's very, very important that we have to, you gotta enjoy life. You get one.
You only
That's
get
it.
one. We were
You don't
born, we
get a
were not
do-over.
born just just to take care of them. Yeah, that was our assignment. No question. You
Okay.
know, and you're good at it. I'm good at it. As far, I'm just going to say that I do my best. I love my babe, and so, you know, it's not, but outside of that, who are you? I see your shirt say I am, but
I
it's
am. And I
you
love
have
that
to you gotta
because
tap into that. It's not
yeah,
you gotta tap into that because you still need to be fulfilled.
yeah. I remember, and that's so great. And I love that because I love saying I am because first of all, he made me his image. So he's the great I am, so I am, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I remember in my early years in my 20s when I first became a mom, that's all I said. I'm a mom, I'm a mom. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a mom. Right? I'm an autism mom, I'm autism.
Right.
Now, you know, I say with pride that I'm me. I'm Davina. I'm the writer. I'm the speaker. I'm the IEP coach. I'm the advocate. I'm, the ex-correctional officer that helped kids. And, I'm a little quirky and I'm funny, at least I think I crack my own self up. Um,
That's all that
you
matters.
know, and I love community and I'm gonna help everybody. And then I'm an autism mom, and then I'm a PTSD mom, and then I'm a media person. Like being okay with saying you're all these amazing things, and we have these people in our lives, and allowing those wonderful people in our lives to also say, I am whatever great thing that we can cultivate in their lives and each other's life. Because there may be something that Jabril can teach me. And I
That's
think
right.
that's what we have to be, because that's my guy.
Yeah,
Um, but we have to be open to allowing ourselves to be open
that's right.
and not just saying, I don't want anybody to know that I have a
No,
child or an adult with
no,
special.
we have to open our mouths. No, we don't have,
We gotta be okay.
that's
And
right.
we also have to be okay the days to say, hey, I'm not okay. Because it's okay to say that you're
Exactly.
not okay.
That's right. I had one young lady when I first was selling my Push for Love hats. She said, "Push for love mean even when you have to say no."
Yes.
I love it. I was like, "Thank you," and it's so true, So Push for Love is not just all lovey-dovey, in that sense. Sometimes you have to just say no. That's
Oh,
love.
love.
That's love, because sometimes we do more than what we should. And
Yeah.
that's not loving yourself. Sometimes you have to say, no, I cannot. Just no, you
Oh,
know, I
I
gotta pull
I
back.
am on a break. And
That's right.
being okay, but being really, like you said, really being okay with it. Let your no be your no and your yes be your yes. And don't feel guilty about either one.
No, that's right. So again, I want to thank you. We're going to wrap this up. Oh my gosh, we could go on and on. Yes. And that's why you have to come because at our, you know, come to the push. You need to get away. Come, I got a couple more tickets available. So if you want, I hope you come and just make the decision soon so I can let the person know. So because
I
she was
will be
still
there.
with me.
My
Okay.
brain has been focused on. I have to get this little girl across the stage. We have an eighth grader going to the ninth grade, so I've
Okay.
been on graduation duty. Uh,
I
but
understand.
I will
This is
definitely.
July the 20th, okay? So we got time, but just let me know and I can put your name down and everything, okay? And
Absolutely.
yeah.
And
And
everyone listening, get a ticket.
yeah, so look, I would just say my website is pushforlovegives.com. We have apparel that actually supports the nonprofit, and that's pushforlovegives.com. That's the website. And my email address is pushforloveinc@gmail.com. So if you want to email me for any questions, just to find out what's going on with Push for Love, you can always email me there, and I will give you updates on what's going on. Yeah, so I just want to thank you so much, Divina, and I can't wait to see you on the boat ride, on the boat. I say boat retreat because you need it. You are such an awesome mom, and I thank you so, 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 so much. And people need to meet and know you. Come, the books that you have. So come join us. Come join us, and yeah, and even at the next retreat that we have, because your story needs to be told in front of others. When we have our retreats, that's what we do. I let people stand up and tell the story, and you just be surprised of who else need to hear it and see this awesome, awesome mom.
Thank you. And anyone that has any questions, I'm still building the site up. But reach me at optimismdesigns.com. I'm always glad to answer a question or give a resource.
Say that again. Say that one more time.
It's optimismdesigns.com. And I'm always willing to give a resource, help with the IEP, whatever you need. I am now building my website since I have been having a lot of requests. So I am working on that as we speak.
And as far as Facebook or anything, can they reach out?
They can reach me on Instagram at events_optimism, or they can just put in Divina Jackson. And I'm also on Facebook under Divina Jackson.
All right, great. Well, y'all heard that. Please reach out to her, reach out to me, and we both are doing some wonderful things. And again, thank you so, so much, Divina. And I will see you on the boat retreat. Yay! On top of that, we're ordering T-shirts too. So it's like a little off-the-shoulder T-shirt that all the girls are ordering. And so if you want one, let me know. And
definitely.
Okay, so we can deal with that a little later on. I'll give you a call. But again, thank you so much, Divina. All right, and we will be talking to you soon. I will be talking to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Love you guys.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.